Hi, as requested, I'm gonna be reviewing a video called 20 Fastest Ways to Instantly Boost Testosterone by Team 3D Alpha.
Hey guys, what's going on? Megan here are the fastest ways to increase testosterone naturally as fast as possible, since not all methods increase testosterone at the same speed. Some take seconds, some take days, some take...
That's funny, he shows the anime figure. He's implying that if you have such an unnatural drugged up physique, then you have high testosterone. Or if you lift metal, that means high testosterone, which it doesn't at all.
hours. So let's go. Sprinting, that's going to take seconds to minutes. If you go on the all-out sprint, high-intensity interval training...
Yes, sprinting significantly decreases testosterone. Actually more than most other activities that you could do. Jogging, marathon running is worse, but sprinting is right up there as one of the best ways to decrease your testosterone, as proven in every study ever released about it. Literally every. There's zero studies that show anything else. So I don't know what he's talking about, because he's saying that it's science-based. You're literally saying the opposite of what every study ever done says, but whatever.
You're going to get a crazy increase in testosterone, anywhere from 10...
Okay, I think what he means is that testosterone will be released in your bloodstream as a response to the stress or the shock, the trauma. Yeah, that's true. But it doesn't increase the production of testosterone. It simply releases it as a response, which is really bad, meaning that you're aging and destroying your body. Maybe he's confusing that. That's possible.
And 30% depending on the person, the intensity, and other factors. And that's going to take place within seconds to minutes based on the literature.
Okay, yeah. Okay, he's confusing it. It's released, meaning that you decrease it overall. As an example, let's say that you drink water after a sprint. You have a full glass of water. If you now drink half of the glass, do you have more water or less? If you use up your testosterone, do you have more or less afterwards? Kind of beyond ignorant. Really strange.
Obviously, the downside is that it's not going to stay elevated for a long time, but it will be up long.
Well, yeah, because it was released in response to the sprinting, to the damage. Testosterone is an antioxidant, by the way. He probably doesn't even know that.
Long enough for you to get the mental benefits of high testosterone, which is more strength, more energy, higher sex drive, more confidence, lower...
Well, no, it will only be lower because you will use it up for the sprinting. That's why everybody who jogs, sprints, lifts weights, does any kind of exercise has lower testosterone. You sleep longer, you can't perform in bed, you have lower libido. Everybody who does any kind of exercise knows this. You stop all of that, right away you have higher testosterone because you're using it for the reproduction. High libido just means that you want to reproduce. If you have a low testosterone because of exercise, you're less likely to reproduce. That's all that it means, because you're using it up for something else. You don't exercise, you automatically sleep less, you're not lethargic anymore, and you want to reproduce a lot more. Everybody knows this.
Anxiety, on and so forth. Next, listening to music. Believe it or not, even though the research is mixed, some studies show an increase in testosterone, some show a decrease in testosterone.
Okay, I'm gonna skip these kind of stupid points.
Sleeping obviously takes 8 to 10 hours to maximize testosterone, right? As long as you're in deep REM sleep.
What? If you sleep 8 to 10 hours, then you're lethargic. You're a low testosterone male. You generally have very little energy. You're more so really just unhealthy, but you're also going to be biochemically unhealthy, as in hormonally also, meaning that you will have a lower testosterone. Of course, if you sleep 10 hours a day, you have low testosterone.
That's going to be in this category here. Next, drinking coffee or taking caffeine. Believe it or not, that actually increases testosterone. And
yes, it might as well, because obviously in response to the stress, the damage, you release antioxidants. Yeah, that's not really a secret. Again, you use it up for the toxicity of the neurotoxins such as caffeine and theobromine, meaning that you overall have lower testosterone for what you actually want. You gotta understand that people like this, I didn't know that he's this ignorant, I'm actually surprised. They believe that because testosterone is released in response to whatever, they have higher testosterone. No, you have a certain amount of testosterone which is being produced. If you don't have microplastics in your testicles, which have been found in men today, then you will be able to produce more. It depends on a lot of stuff. But my point is simply that this is how you actually measure if you have high testosterone. And then if you use it for what you naturally need to use it, which would sometimes be some kind of physical activities, which also includes hunting, but mostly for reproduction, then this is how you measure if you have high testosterone. If you use it for what you naturally need to. If you work out, which no human in nature has ever done, or you drink toxic seed water, such as coffee or whatever else he will talk about, then you use it up for that. So overall, for what you need to use it naturally, which would be mostly for reproduction, you don't have it anymore. That's why your libido is so low if you do everything that he said in here. So that should be clearly understood. High testosterone can really just be measured if we don't actually literally measure it, but if we simply listen to our intuition, then we just see if we don't sleep long and want to be intimate and reproduce a lot and so on. That's really how we could measure it, because then it means we are not using it for everything else, such as muscle protein synthesis, if you work out, even if you sprint also. If you do that, you use it up for that, and then you have a lower actual testosterone for what you need it for naturally. So this distinction really has to be understood, because this guy doesn't get it whatsoever. He's saying, do everything that damages you, release antioxidants in response to the damage, and then you have high testosterone. So he's saying the opposite of how the body works.
Anti-aromatase, quote unquote, anti-estradiol properties. Estradiol being the main estrogen, that is. And that tends to happen within minutes, depending on the caffeine.
Yes, exactly. The perfect proof that it's a response to it. Exactly. He just debunks his whole video.
But be careful, because that also tends to increase cortisol. So you want to make sure that your testosterone
Whoa, toxins increase cortisol.
on the cortisol ratio is high and not low. Next,
Then don't do any of this stressful stuff. What the fuck?
eating a healthy, micronutrient-rich diet. This one takes anywhere from several hours to days to weeks, depending on how bad.
The food has to be at the top. Sleep is also important, but everything else is garbage. And this whole list will be a joke, I can already tell. How do you produce testosterone? By the food that you eat. What the hell?
Nutrient deficiencies are, so I'm gonna put that in days to weeks, right?
What? Oh my god, man. Okay, the length. Okay, the fastest way. That doesn't make any sense, because if you don't eat anything, you don't produce any testosterone. So even by his definition, he doesn't necessarily say that it's the best or the worst, but he's ranking it by what's the fastest and the slowest ways. But still, diet then is the fastest way, because you don't eat, you don't produce testosterone. Fuck.
If you start eating healthy, you're not gonna notice an instant increase in testosterone. In some cases, you might actually see a small decrease in testosterone in a few hours.
You eat liver, brain, testicles, spleen, you drink blood, you will have the highest testosterone on earth. Not that you need super high levels that will also just age you, that's abnormal. Your body will produce as much as it needs, which will be mostly during puberty, because that's when you are aging and growing. You're supposed to age, you're supposed to become older during puberty, and then it should slowly calm down, because that's the times when you should be active.
After you eat, but I'll explain that in different videos.
That's why, by the way, people who take testosterone, as in those fake bodybuilders, they age so badly. Also, of course, because they are taking in artificial drugs, and when you don't produce it yourself, you don't produce anything that goes together with the testosterone, that works in a synergy, so to speak. You can't simply inject testosterone and expect to be healthy. That's also why they age so badly.
Due to the increase in inflammation that happens because your gut health is so messed up, right? Almost anything you eat will decrease testosterone in the short term, right? Within the next few hours, especially if your gut is inflamed. So once again, even though eating a high micronutrient-rich diet is the most important thing you can do for testosterone, you're not going to see the effect.
But wait, the food that he has there is not even high in micronutrients anyway. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about at all. The highest micronutrient foods are organs, especially if you eat them raw. What?
Facts right away, right? It's gonna take a while. Next, lifting very heavy weights, and I'm talking 1
That's the best way to decrease testosterone. Has been again proven in every study ever done, literally every. There's zero studies showing anything else. Yeah, it's one of the worst things you can do for testosterone because you will be using it all up for muscle protein synthesis and to decrease the inflammation, the stress caused by lifting the metal because you're doing something so unnatural for the body. That's why the muscles pump up and become red, your face becomes red. You need to use up a lot of testosterone for it, as in decrease it.
3 rep max, right? Not high volume, just powerlifting type of training. That is actually a myth. Lifting heavy does not increase testosterone. It is only high volume compound movements. So high reps, short rest periods, that's what increases.
Okay, anyway, both are the same when it comes to decreasing your testosterone. But yeah, he's ranking it as a myth, as the slowest way. It's whatever, it's all the same.
Watching aggressive videos, aggressive clips, watching videos of people fighting, watching athletes doing aggressive stuff, anything that's aggressive, anything that activates your amygdala.
Yes, again, horrible because you will be decreasing it because your body will be stressed. It will sense danger. It will increase the testosterone, which will age you, of course. And that's why you will have lower testosterone in the end because you will have used it up. I don't know what he doesn't really understand. It's really strange. What he's basically saying is have a lot of stress from lifting metal like a slave for no reason, from drinking toxic seed water, from watching people fight or being involved in fights yourself. And then you will adapt to the stress and have big muscles and die in your 50s, 60s. Yeah, cool.
Perceives a threat, that's going to increase testosterone within seconds to minutes.
Yeah, literally. Meaning that you will use it up. What's wrong with this guy?
And it's obviously common sense. The brain has evolved to increase testosterone in males whenever we perceive a threatening situation. So even though you're watching a clip, your brain sees it as a threat stimulus. And sure enough, your amygdala projects straight.
Yes, exactly. And that's why people who use drugs have this rage. They are constantly angry and they are constantly aging themselves. That's why they look so old. So it's an abnormal state to be in for a human being biochemically. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Into your hypothalamus and also increases sympathetic nervous system activation, which is going to increase catecholamine.
Man, this is one of the worst videos I've ever seen. Wow. I'm really surprised. I didn't expect it to be this bad. And this is as wrong as it gets. He's basically saying the opposite of what you should do. Because if you want high testosterone, you need to stay away from stressful situations.
Increase in testosterone is usually visible within minutes, right? So whether you're icing your balls or whether you're doing cold immersion or doing a cold shower.
Icing your balls. Oh my God.
As long as the temperature is low enough, you will get an increase in testosterone, mainly through the catecholamine pathway, right? So norepinephrine or adrenaline, same molecule depending on where you live at.
Oh, a lot of adrenaline and cortisol. That's of course also proven. I don't know what he's talking about when you expose yourself to the cold. Generally very stressful situations. And again, obviously that's why the antioxidants are released. Wow. In case you don't get what I'm saying, exposing yourself to the cold is, again, one of the best ways to decrease your testosterone. If you want high testosterone, you need to stay very warm and comfortable. So the opposite again. The opposite all the time. What the fuck, man? Worst video ever.
Next, getting sunlight, both to your skin and obviously to your eyes, because those are the two
Yeah, exactly. The warmth. Sunbathing, yeah.
different pathways through which sunlight increases testosterone. It's not just through vitamin D, it's also through P53, which means both your skin and obviously your eyes need to be in contact with UVB rays in order for you to get the testosterone boosting effect. So like I
Yes, that's why you shouldn't wear sunglasses.
always say, get sunlight in the morning through your eyes, and later in the day you want a lot of sunlight on your skin. I've been talking about this way before it was popular, so I'm glad to see that it's finally catching up. But this goes in a couple hours, right? It's gonna
But still lower than the rest. This is actually a good recommendation, the only one so far. besides the sleep, but that's an indirect way to do it.
You don't have to flirt. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just being around attractive females increases testosterone within seconds to minutes, which once again makes sense if you look at the evolution of the human race. That's your brain telling you, hey, there's a female, there's an attractive potential partner in the room. Let me increase your testosterone so that your anxiety goes down, your DHT goes up, your dopamine goes up, your motivation goes up, and you're more likely to do things to impress her, right? And sure enough, that's exactly what we see. Whenever you put an attractive female in the room, surrounded by guys, the men start doing a whole bunch of stuff to try to impress the female. If it's a skateboarding ring, they start doing riskier flips. If it's a normal room, they start bragging about their achievements. You guys know what I'm talking about. Guys, when we were teenagers, we saw that all the time, right? You're hanging out with your friends, hot woman walks in, every guy starts acting like a freaking idiot trying to one-up each other. That's testosterone working. And when the woman goes away, testosterone levels go right back down, which once again shows you that testosterone evolved for sexual activity, for sexual conquest. Next, licking.
Yes, exactly. But then why do you recommend everything else to decrease it so that you don't have success with women? Because women are attracted to high testosterone males. Have I ever seen a more contradictory video in my life? You literally prove with your own words that that's why men have testosterone. That's why there's the difference between men and women. But then you recommend everything to decrease your testosterone. Yeah, it's the most contradictory video ever. If he didn't do that, maybe it wouldn't be. But because he literally tells you that that's why we have the testosterone, and then he gives you all the examples of how to decrease it, it's insane.
At an attractive female also increases testosterone, right? So that's just looking, not talking, not interacting, just looking at an attractive female can give you up to a 10% increase in testosterone, very similar to the reason that I explained.
Yeah, because you want to reproduce. Yeah. And you will have way lower testosterone, and you won't be able to. You will be shy and, what's your name? Do you like flowers? Do you want to watch a movie with me? Please, what? You're busy, but why? I was nice to you. I bought you everything that you need. Poor guy comes along, homeless guy, high testosterone, let's go. All right.
I explained earlier. And in some studies, just having women around led to a 20 to 40% difference in testosterone levels.
All right, at last we found the most contradictory video on the internet. Cool. Wow, it's just amazing how you can be so wrong about almost every point, but then just completely contradict your whole video at close to the very end. I didn't show the very end because it was just nonsense blabbering, which most of the video was anyway. Wow. It's just hard to believe that you can be so contradictory and wrong. You just say the opposite of everything. You tell men how to completely decrease their testosterone to the lowest levels possible. And then, on top of that, say, we need the testosterone to reproduce, which he indirectly said. He said to be intimate, that's what it means. And he tells you that in response to being intimate, seeing attractive women, testosterone is released. But the whole video he talked about how you can release it and use it up by drinking toxic seed water, lifting weights for no reason, meaning that you will have very little testosterone left to reproduce. So he completely contradicts the whole video without even realizing it. What the fuck was this, man? Also, if you want to test your testosterone, you should check the free testosterone, the total testosterone. There's also other indicators. That's how you will know how much you're actually producing and using. You cannot simply test your total testosterone as if that means anything. It doesn't work like that whatsoever. And if you're a teenager in your early 20s, pretty much no matter what you do, you will have a pretty high testosterone, except if you're on a vegan, plant-based diet or something like that. You would really have to mess up your health to have a low testosterone. And that's, of course, visible. You would notice it yourself anyway. Really, these tests and everything are not even needed anyway. And having high testosterone during puberty is very important. because it will really significantly affect how your body develops. Afterwards, it's not even really needed that much anyway. It's really mostly important during puberty. That's when men should focus on it. And that's when nowadays men don't understand what they are supposed to do. That's really the biggest problem that we have today. Men who have a low testosterone during puberty. As you could see, the guy from Type O Negative had a high testosterone during puberty. That's just one example. If you have a low testosterone later on, it will change you. It's not as if you can just have high testosterone during puberty and then it goes down and you use it up in the ways that he presented, and then it's fine. You will just stay the same way as you are. It should be at the natural levels. If you go on a vegan diet in your 20s, 30s, you will still see a pretty big difference. It's always important. And the most important thing that you can do is not do anything that he said, because then you will notice all of the effects of having low testosterone, and it will not be pretty at any age. Thanks for watching.